AITA for moving out without a word when my wife asked for space. The suitcase was on the bed at 6 in the morning. Chloe was still asleep, or at least pretending to be. I was folding shirts in silence, packing only the essentials. I made no noise. I wanted no explanations. There was nothing left to explain. 12 hours earlier, in that same bedroom, she had said the words I had been waiting for months without knowing it. I need space. I feel suffocated. I need time to think if this is what I want. I did not yell. I did not ask why. I did not beg. I just nodded once and said, "Okay." She seemed confused by my calmness, but I did not push it. I turned around and walked out of the bedroom. That night, I slept on the couch, not out of sadness, but because I had already made a decision. Now, as I was zipping the suitcase, I heard her voice behind me. "What are you doing?" I did not turn around. "Giving you the space you asked for." "What are you talking about?" "I'm leaving. The condo is yours. All the space you need." There was a long silence. I heard her footsteps approaching. "Wait, I didn't mean it like." "Yes, you did mean it." I finally interrupted her, turning to look at her. "You said I suffocate you. You said you need to think if this is what you want. I'm not going to stay where I'm not wanted while you decide." Her face changed. I saw confusion, then alarm, then something resembling panic. "You're overreacting," she said. "I just needed a conversation. Not for you to leave." I shook my head. "We've been married for 8 years. If after 8 years you need space to think if you love me, the answer is already clear." I grabbed the suitcase and walked toward the door. She followed me, getting more and more upset. "You can't just leave like this. We have to talk." I stopped in the doorway and looked at her one last time. "We had 8 years to talk. Last night you decided you needed space. I'm giving it to you." I walked out of our home without looking back. Let me explain how we got here. My name is Ethan. I am 34 years old. I work as an operations manager at a logistics firm in Chicago. It is not a glamorous job, but it pays well and has allowed me to build a stable life. I bought the condo where we lived 5 years ago in Lincoln Park. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a view of the lake. I bought it thinking about the future, about a family, about growing old with someone. That someone was Chloe. We met 10 years ago at a mutual friend's party in Wicker Park. She was 24 and worked as a freelance graphic designer. She was creative, spontaneous, full of energy. Everything I was not. That difference attracted me. I thought we complemented each other perfectly, that she would bring color to my orderly life, and I would give stability to her creative chaos. The first time I saw her, she was passionately arguing about art with someone who clearly understood nothing about the subject. Her eyes sparkled when she spoke about something she cared about. I approached with the excuse of getting a beer, and we ended up talking until 3 in the morning. When she asked for my number, I thought she was the most interesting woman I had ever met. The first few years were incredible. We took road trips together to Asheville and a long weekend in Santa Fe. We built routines that felt natural. Sunday mornings at the farmer's market, movie nights in my condo, coffee afternoons where she sketched and I read. We were happy in a simple, uncomplicated way. We got married after 2 years of dating in a small ceremony in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, overlooking the water. She wore a simple white dress she had found in a vintage shop. I wore the only good suit I owned. There was no orchestra or gala dinner, just 30 people who loved us, good food, and a lot of dancing. I remember looking at her that day and thinking I had found my person, the woman I would spend the rest of my life with. When exactly did everything start to break? I do not know. The change was gradual, so slow I did not notice it until it was too late. It started about 2 years ago. Chloe got a full-time job at an advertising agency in River North. It was a big step for her. More money, more stability, more professional recognition. I was genuinely happy for her. We celebrated with dinner at her favorite restaurant and toasted to her new beginning. But with the job came changes. She started arriving later, first an hour, then 2, then 3. She said she had meetings, deadlines, client events. I understood. My job also had busy seasons. I did not question anything. Then came the emotional distance. We no longer talked like before. Silent dinners became normal. The weekends we used to spend together, she now spent with the girls from work or at networking events. I stayed home waiting, not knowing exactly what I was waiting for. I tried talking to her several times. I asked if she was okay, if something was bothering her, if I could do something differently. I always got the same answer. I'm tired. It's work. It's nothing personal. Nothing personal. That phrase became the soundtrack of our marriage. 6 months ago, things got worse. Chloe became irritable. She criticized everything I did. If I cooked, the food was wrong. If I cleaned, I did not do it right. If I gave her space, I was distant. If I got close, I was suffocating. There was no way to win. One day, while we were eating dinner in silence, I dared to ask directly, "Do you not love me anymore?" She looked up from her plate with a look of annoyance. "Do not start with that. Not everything has to be so dramatic. It is a simple question," I insisted. "Do you love me or not?" "Of course I love you," she said without conviction. "I'm just stressed. Why do you have to turn everything into an interrogation?" I did not ask again, but I started observing. I noticed she protected her cell phone like a treasure, always face down, always on silent, always out of my reach. I noticed she dressed up more for work than for any outing with me. I noticed she smiled when reading certain messages, a smile she no longer gave to me. I did not look for proof. I did not check her phone. I did not hire anyone to follow her. I simply observed and waited. I knew the truth would eventually come out on its own. It always does. The night before I left, Chloe came home late again. It was almost 11. I was in the living room reading, waiting for her without her knowing. When she walked in, she was surprised to see me awake. "What are you doing up?" she asked, dropping her bag on the couch. "I live here," I replied. "How did it go?" "Fine. Dinner with clients. You know how it is." She headed to the bedroom without giving me a kiss, without asking how my day was, without anything. I followed her. "Chloe, we need to talk." She sighed in exasperation as she took off her earrings. "I am exhausted right now." "You are always exhausted," I said. "There is always an excuse. We have been like this for months, and I cannot take it anymore." She turned to me with her arms crossed. "You cannot take it anymore? With what? With me having a career? With me not being available 24/7 for you?" "I cannot take feeling invisible in my own marriage anymore," I replied. "I cannot take being the last on your priority list anymore. I cannot take wondering if you still want to be with me anymore." There was a moment of silence. I saw something in her eyes. Not guilt, not sadness, but annoyance, as if I were a problem she had to solve. "Honestly, Ethan," she finally said, "I need space. I feel suffocated. I need time to think if this is what I want." There it was. After months of silence, finally the truth. I did not feel surprised. I felt relief. It was as if a wound that had been infected for a long time had finally been opened. "Okay," I said calmly. She blinked, clearly expecting a different reaction. "Okay, that is it." "Yes," I replied. "If you need space to decide if you want to be with me, I am not going to beg you to stay. Let me know when you decide." I walked out of the bedroom and spent the night on the couch, but I did not sleep. I spent those hours thinking, planning, accepting what I had already known for a while. At 5 in the morning, I made my decision. When someone tells you they need space to think if they love you, they have already given you the answer. Love is not thought about, it is felt. If after 8 years she has to evaluate if she wants to be with you, it is because she already decided she does not. I left the condo at 7 in the morning with a suitcase and a backpack. I left everything else. The furniture we bought together, the photos on the walls, the memories of 8 years. None of that mattered. I checked into a hotel near my office in the Loop. Nothing fancy, just a clean place where I could think clearly. The room had a queen bed, a small desk, and a functional bathroom. It cost $150 a night. I paid for a week in advance, left the suitcase in the room, and went to work as if it were a normal day. There was something liberating about that hotel room. No photos on the walls, no shared memories, no weight of years of accumulated disappointments. Just me, my thoughts, and the silence I needed so much. My cell phone started buzzing at 9 in the morning. "Chloe, did you seriously leave?" I did not answer. "Chloe, this is ridiculous. Come home and let's talk." Silence. "Chloe, Ethan, answer me." Nothing. The calls started at noon. 3 calls in a row that I let go to voicemail. Then 2 more. Then longer messages. "You are acting like a child. You cannot run away from problems. This is not what I asked for." That last sentence made me smile bitterly. Of course it was what she asked for. She asked for space. I gave her space. She asked for time to think. I gave her all the time in the world. What did she expect? For me to stay on the couch like a dog waiting for her to decide if I was worth it? At 3 in the afternoon, I changed my tactic. I did not block her number, but I silenced all notifications from her. I could see the messages, but they did not interrupt me. It was like watching a storm from a safe window. That night, the messages changed tone. Ethan, please, I need to know that you are okay. Where are you? At least tell me that. This is killing me. Please answer. I did not answer. The second day was worse for her. The messages became more desperate. I cannot believe you are doing this to me. After everything we have been through, this is how it ends? I love you. Do not you understand? I love you. That declaration of love, so convenient now that I was not available, confirmed everything for me. She did not love me. She loved the stability, the comfort, the condo I paid for, the life I had built. She loved me when I was useful. Now that I was gone, she suddenly remembered I existed. On the third day, she showed up at my work. I was in a meeting with the logistics team when my admin knocked on the door, looking concerned. She motioned for me to step out. In the hallway, she quietly told me there was someone waiting for me in the reception area, and she seemed very upset. I knew immediately who it was. When I went down, there was Chloe, with red eyes and smudged makeup. She was wearing the same clothes as the day before, as if she had not slept, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, dark circles under her eyes. It was the first time I had seen her so unkempt in public. Chloe had always been impeccable with her appearance. Ethan, she said, approaching with quick steps. We have to talk. Now. I looked at her blankly. I am working. I do not care about your work, she raised her voice. A few people in the reception area turned to look at us. You disappeared. You left without an explanation. Do you have any idea what I have been through these past few days? I have not slept. I have not eaten. I am going crazy. The receptionist pretended not to hear while typing nervously on her computer. A coworker passing by slowed down to watch the scene. I kept my calm, aware that every word I said could be repeated later. I gave you exactly what you asked for, I said quietly but firmly. You asked for space. There it is. The whole condo to yourself. All the time you need to think. It was not literal, she yelled, and her voice broke mid-sentence. Then you should have been more clear, I replied. Now if you will excuse me, I have a meeting to finish. I turned around and walked toward the elevator. I heard her heels behind me, fast, desperate. You cannot ignore me like this. I am your wife. I stepped into the elevator and pressed the button for my floor. The doors started to close slowly. Ethan, please. The doors closed. I went up alone, in silence, watching the numbers change on the screen. When I got to my floor, I took a deep breath and went back to the meeting as if nothing had happened. That afternoon, I received a message from her sister. Chloe is devastated. What did you do to her? I did not answer. Then a message from her mom. Ethan, this is not how things are done. Couples talk out their problems. I did not answer either. The narrative was already being built. I was the bad guy. I had abandoned my wife for no reason. I was the insensitive one who did not want to talk. No one asked what really happened. No one asked why I left. On the fifth day, Chloe tried a different tactic. She showed up at the hotel. I do not know how she found me. She probably checked the credit card statements or called around. It did not matter. When I opened the room door, there she was with a bag of food from my favorite restaurant and a forced smile. I brought you dinner, she said. Can we talk? I looked at her for a long moment. Now you want to talk? I always wanted to talk, she replied. You were the one who left. You were the one who said you needed space to think if you loved me. I corrected her. I just listened to you. She walked into the room without being invited, sat in the only available chair, and put the food on the table. I made a mistake, she said. I was stressed, confused. I should not have said that. I leaned against the wall, watching her. And what did you really mean to say? She hesitated. That I needed. I do not know, for things to be different. Different how? She had no answer. Chloe, I said calmly. You have been coming home late for 2 years, ignoring me, making me feel like a burden in my own home. And now that I have left, you want things to be different. Her eyes filled with tears. It was not my intention to make you feel that way. But you did it. Every day. And when I asked if you loved me, you told me not to be dramatic. When I tried to talk, you told me you were tired. When you finally told me the truth, I gave you exactly what you asked for. I did not ask you to leave. You asked for space to decide if you wanted to be with me. I answered. That decision does not include me waiting around. I am not a backup plan. The silence that followed was heavy. I saw her face change from sadness to something darker. Pin-up rage. "So this is it?" she asked. 8 years thrown in the trash because we had one bad night. "It was not one bad night," I said. "It was 2 years of bad nights. That was just the last one." Chloe left the hotel that night without the answer she was looking for. I did not ask her to stay. I did not promise her I would think about it. I just watched her walk out the door and felt something I did not expect. Relief. The following days were strange. On one hand, there was a tranquility I had not felt in years. On the other, there was an emptiness, the space where the constant worry about her, about us, about a future that no longer existed used to be. On the 10th day after I left, I received a message that changed everything. It was from an unknown number. The message simply said, "You are Chloe's husband. You need to see this." There was a link attached. I opened it cautiously. It was a screenshot of a text conversation. Chloe talking with someone named Derek, work. The messages were from 3 months ago. "I cannot take it anymore. Ethan is so boring. When are you going to leave him?" "Soon. I just need to find the right time. I miss you. Yesterday was incredible." "Me too. Friday we do it again." I kept scrolling. There were more screenshots. Intimate conversations, plans to see each other, complaints about me, promises of a future together, all dated, all documented, all real. I do not know who sent me those screenshots. Maybe a remorseful friend of Chloe's, maybe Derek's wife who had discovered the same thing. It did not matter. What mattered was that I finally had the confirmation of what I suspected. I did not feel anger. I did not feel pain. I just felt validation. My instincts had been right the whole time. That night, I called my lawyer. The divorce process took 4 months. Chloe tried everything to stop it. She cried, begged, threatened, promised to change. When nothing worked, she tried to keep the condo, arguing that I had abandoned her. My lawyer presented the screenshots as evidence of her inappropriate relationship. The conversation changed immediately. In the settlement, Chloe kept some of her personal belongings and a small portion of the joint savings we had. The condo, and everything else I had built before and during the marriage, was awarded to me. The last time I saw her was at the divorce signing. She was sitting across the table with her lawyer, avoiding my gaze. When it was all over, she stood up to leave. "I hope you are happy," she said without turning around. "You destroyed everything." "No," I replied calmly. "I just found the exit you had already built." She walked out without saying anything else. It has been 8 months since the divorce. I still live in the condo, although it no longer feels the same. I changed the furniture, painted the walls, and rearranged every room. It is mine now, completely mine, without ghosts or painful memories. My work is going well. I was offered a promotion 2 months ago, which I accepted without hesitation. More responsibilities, better salary, new opportunities, things that I would have consulted with her before. Now I decide on my own. 3 months ago, I met someone. Her name is Sarah. She is an accountant who works at a company near mine. We met at a coffee shop where we both grab breakfast regularly. There is no drama with her, no games, no need to decipher hidden messages. When she wants to see me, she tells me. When something bothers her, she lets me know. It is refreshing to be with someone who says what they think. And Chloe? Through mutual friends, I found out what happened to her after we signed the divorce. Derek, the co-worker she had the affair with, turned out to be married. He had a wife and a 5-year-old daughter living in Naperville. The whole time he was with Chloe, he kept his family life completely intact. To him, Chloe was just a fling, office entertainment that meant nothing serious. When his wife discovered the situation by finding messages on his cell phone during a family dinner, she gave him an ultimatum. Either he ended things with Chloe immediately, or she was leaving. Derek did not think twice. He chose his family without hesitation. He sent Chloe a text message, not even having the courage to tell her in person, saying that everything had been a mistake and that they could not see each other again. Chloe was left alone, without a husband, without a lover, without the home she thought would be hers. Work at the agency became difficult when the story got out among coworkers. Rumors spread fast. People talked behind her back, looked at her differently in meetings. The environment became unbearable, and she ended up quitting 3 months after the divorce. She had to move back in with her parents in Cleveland at 32 years old. Her single bedroom was exactly the same as when she left a decade ago. Now she works as a freelancer again, doing the same small projects she was doing when I met her, exactly where she started. Last month, I received a message from her from a new number. Ethan, I know I do not deserve for you to answer me, but I want you to know I am sorry. I made the biggest mistake of my life, and there is not a day that goes by that I do not regret it. If you could ever forgive me. I did not answer. Not out of resentment, not out of revenge, simply because there is nothing left to say. That chapter of my life is closed. The pages are sealed. There is no reason to open it again. Sometimes I think about that morning when I packed my suitcase while she slept. At that moment, I thought I was losing everything. Now I understand that I was gaining something much more valuable, my peace. She asked for space. I gave her the entire home, and in the process, I found myself. I regret nothing. Comment. What this story really highlights for me is the quiet strength in choosing yourself. Your self-respect should never be up for negotiation. Setting a boundary is not an act of aggression. It is an act of clarity for everyone involved. You cannot control how others treat you, but you can always control your response. Sometimes, the most powerful decision is to simply walk away from the noise and choose your own peace. This choice is the ultimate form of kindness to yourself. Healing does not truly begin until you create a safe space for it to happen. Remember that you are the main character in your own life, not a supporting character in someone else's indecision. I hope you always find the courage to protect your own tranquility. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.